In a new interview, President Trump tells the New York Times that the U.S. could stay in control of Venezuela for years. On Wednesday, U.S. forces seized 2 more oil tankers under international sanctions for ties to Venezuela. Meanwhile, the latest CBS News poll shows most Americans say the Trump administration's real goal is to get access to Venezuela's oil and expand U.S. power in the region. The poll also shows Americans are divided on last weekend's capture of Nicolas Maduro, with slightly more than half disapproving. Charlie D'Agata is covering all of this for us.
Another daring takeover of a sanctioned oil tanker as Navy SEALs carried in by special operations helicopters boarded the ship, now named the Marinera, off the coast of Iceland. Hours later, commandos took over another tanker known as the Sophia in the Caribbean, heading east from Venezuela.
The oil blockade, the quarantine of oil out of unsanctioned or stateless, vessels continues. That leverage will continue.
The UK Defense Ministry said in a statement the country provided support for the operation. U.S. forces had tailed the Marinera, formerly named the Bella 1, for weeks, allegedly part of the so-called shadow fleet that carries sanctioned Venezuelan oil around the globe. It had recently re-registered as a Russian vessel, and the Kremlin this week dispatched a submarine to escort it. But U.S. forces arrived first. Russia called the seizure illegal under international law. The White House disagreed.
The vessel was deemed stateless after flying a false flag, and it had a judicial seizure order, and that's why the crew will be subject to prosecution.
Administration officials Wednesday laid out how the ongoing quarantine on oil out of Venezuela is playing into the larger plan for the U.S. to take over the country's massive oil reserves.
We are going to take between 30 and 50 million barrels of oil. We're going to sell it in the marketplace. That money will then be handled in such a way that we will control how it is dispersed in a way that benefits the Venezuelan people, not corruption, not the regime.
That oil alone, worth between $2 and $3 billion, would be taken by tankers and brought to port in the United States. The president said in a social media post that Venezuela will purchase only American-made products with the money it receives in the oil deal. Democrats called the White House plan theft.
This is an insane plan. They are talking about stealing the Venezuelan oil at gunpoint for a period of time undefined as leverage to micromanage the country.
So in that New York Times interview, President Trump says the U.S. will control Venezuela's government for much longer than a year, but won't say exactly how long. Nate?
Charlie, thank you.